In the last episode, we showed you our journey and breathtaking stopovers en route our road trip from Shillong to Tawang, and how Sela Pass welcomed us with its first snow of the season. This episode is all about Tawang. On the way to Tawang city from Sela Pass, we stopped at Jung Waterfalls. This was the first time I had ever seen a rainbow. While we were capturing this beautiful sight, a little girl came running saying that she saw the full circle and I also wanted to see it. Until then, I didn't know that a rainbow was actually a full circle.
Are you kidding me?
I saw the full circle. I saw the full circle. Okay, I'm going to fall sick.
When you spot a full rainbow, it's called glory. And that word is just apt for what I saw. And finally, here we were, Tawang. Hands down, one of the most beautiful cities in India. Plan for the day one was to chill and acclimatize as we drove up to 10,000 feet in just 8 hours. Tawang is really secluded, and I really mean it when I say secluded. Expect internet, power, and sometimes even fuel outages. Apart from that, you get pretty much everything here. There are good cafes and some amazing Tawang cuisines, but more on that on another vlog. The plan for day 2 was to cover Tawang Monastery, Bumla Pass, and a nunnery named Ani Gompa. Early in the morning, we went to see Tawang Monastery, which is the largest monastery in India and the second largest in Asia. The main temple was surrounded by school, library, and residential complexes where almost 500 monks lived and worked. When we entered the temple, we saw the tall 18-foot Buddha statue sitting in a lotus pose. A few minutes later, we started to see monks preparing for some session, and the devotees were lining up in the hall, finding places to sit. Later we got to know that one of the highly ranked religious teacher was gonna come and do some teaching. He was referred to as one of the Rinpoche. After this, we hired a cab to go to Bumla Pass. Now Bumla Pass was a border pass between China and India, and a permit was required to go there. Technically, we could drive in our own car, but we were told that local cab drivers don't allow private vehicles. The drive to Bumla was an out-of-the-world experience. As we started taking those hairpin bends, the landscape just blew our mind. It is said that there are about 108 lakes at this altitude. Can you believe that? We did see several lakes with unbelievable reflections of the landscape, but we couldn't count them as we were just mesmerized.
It's really like we are in some other planet, some crazy planet. So far away from the sun. There is all just ice. I think we are in Mars.
Technically, I can't compare with Mars because we don't know yet if there's water in Mars. But you get the feeling, right? Out of the world is actually an understatement. We submitted our permit and we were lined up in batches to go see the border. And that's when we realized that videography was prohibited. But the officer allowed us to take one shot of this dog, who kinda had the pride of a soldier trying to protect the border. We were so excited and mesmerized with this trip. I don't think we had ever seen this much snow even when we were studying in UK. Everyone was having a great time here. After coming from Bumla, we then took a drive to Ani Gompa, which was located at the top of a hill about 5 kilometers from Tawang city. This was a monastery for only female monks and hence called as a nunnery. They all work very hard and lead an extremely self-sustained life. Just like Tawang Monastery, the temple was located at the topmost point of the monastery, and we walked through narrow lanes to see this small temple. One thing that we saw here which was very interesting was this very old painting named Confessions of Sin 35 Buddha, which depicted the practice of purification through confession. This practice is also well established in Christianity. The more I gathered about Buddhism, I saw subtle similarities between Buddhism and Christianity. Yes, the fundamentals are different, but the hierarchy system, the celibate monks, both men and women, and the practice of confession being the strongest instigator for me. Buddhism is much older than Christianity, so I would presume that Christianity did get inspired.
Very peaceful, very calm. There's always some water sound. So peaceful.
It's unlike other monasteries.
Yeah.
It's very different.
Because it's on a very high altitude.
Hilltop.
Yeah, it's very cool and the weather is so nice.
On day 3, we had the Teesri Udasi Gurudwara, Tawang Monastery and Sangester Lake in our itinerary, which was again on the same route as Bumla Pass. But this time, we mustered some courage and took a risk of going in our Thar. And 2 of our friends, Tushar and Tanvi, also joined us. The last day when we passed through here, Nini and I thought that these yellow structures were some army camps. But Tanvi told us that this was a Gurudwara, and we were really surprised. Between the years 1514 and 1518, Guru Nanak, who is said to be one of the most traveled men in the world, was on a journey to Tibet to spread his sacred message, and this was one of the places that he stayed. This very spot was on his 3rd journey and hence the name Teesri Udasi. At one point we had to remove our shoes and do rest of the climb in these slippers. And the climb after that got narrower and steeper. Frozen feet and steep climb at high altitude is not a very easy task, but the views compensated for that. Inside the Gurudwara, on one side the holy book was kept, and on the other end there was a Buddha statue. The Tibetan Buddhists had great regards for Guru Nanak and even called him as Nanak Lama. That kinda explains the Buddha statue in a Gurudwara.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
After some chit-chats with the army officer at the Gurudwara, we then set off to see the Takstang Gompa, a beautiful Gompa on a mountain cliff. Guru Padmahambhava, a tantric guru and an important figure in Tibetan Buddhism, was said to have meditated here in the 8th century. Inside the temple, we saw the deities and the scriptures on the other side. The Gompa was right on the tip of a cliff, and the view of the Himalayan ranges was just stunning. We could stay there all day, breathing in the fresh air and trying to absorb all of it, but it would still not be enough. Next stop was Sangester Lake, which was very close to Takstang Gompa. A beautiful and scenic lake surrounded by snow-capped mountains and wonderfully lush valley of pine trees. It was breezy, the air was fresh and cold, and it felt like we were just in heaven. I guess we could say that about every other place in Tawang.
Video, you back!
This lake was created by falling rocks and boulders from an earthquake and then followed by a flash flood. That kind of explains the dry tree trunks popping out in the center of the lake. There was a nice trail around the lake, and it was the best way to explore this Himalayan wonder. I think it took us around an hour to walk around it, and we didn't even realize it. That beautiful the walk was. There were small streams, trees and plants that we hadn't seen before, and signs of the bouldering rocks that created this lake.
It's like watching a movie. Sandy has done color grading, applied LUT in my eyes, and that's how this thing is.
Day 3 was an amazing day, seeing amazing places and learning about some amazing people and some unique cultural history about our own country. Being completely exhausted, we decided to take a break on the next day and continue again on day 5. On day 5, we took a full circuit through Lumla, a hidden waterfall, Gorsam, Chorten, Stupa, and back to Tawang through the same route on which Sangester Lake, Takstang Gompa, and Teesri Udasi Gurudwara was located. This was a really breathtaking circuit. In Lumla, we went to see the Dolma Lhakang statue. This was a huge statue of Tara Devi with a prayer hall beneath it. When we entered the premise, there was a lamp room filled with butter lamps and the walls were all black because of the fumes. The Buddhists believed that the butter lamp depicted wisdom and it could remove ignorance. Many people were from the Mompa tribe. We recognize that through their unique dressing and the headwear that's usually made of yak hair. Monpa tribe is one of the oldest tribe in Northeast, and in their earlier days, they were a nomadic tribe. We then headed to our next stop. The route was really beautiful with plenty of waterfalls. This was an unexpected find on the way, a hidden waterfall we could barely find any information on the internet. We tried to get close to it, but it was a little too scary, especially for me because I am scared of spiders and snakes.
Huh? I don't like the snakes knowledge.
Snakes? No.
But then I'm just blocking my head and going. I'm usually the guy who always falls.
Yeah.
I fell on one of the waterfalls. We went twice.
At the same spot.
I still am.
The drone, come return it.
So we returned back and sent the drone. I was still too scared of losing the drone, as it was really windy and the force of the water was pretty strong. Gorsam Chorten was built in the 13th century by a Mompa monk. The people of Tawang believe that there are only 3 such stupas in the world. This one was modeled after the Buddha stupa of Nepal, and another replica is the Chorten Kora in Bhutan. The stupa had a very calming effect on all of us. We just sat there, breathing in the pure air and listening to the sounds of the water from a river and from a small waterfall as well. It was now time for us to continue the circuit that would lead us back to Tawang through Sangester Lake. So we continued the drive, which took us to the top of the mountain. At one point, we even got Bhutan network on our phones. There were gates put up by the villagers to prevent their cattle from getting lost. It was funny that we had to stop after every few kilometers, open and close these wooden gates ourselves. Never have done that before on border roads. We stopped at this beautiful spot at the top of the mountain where the villagers brought their cattle to graze. One of the village lady was really happy to see the drone, and she came to us to see the footage. She was very sweet. The time that we spent in Tawang was truly beautiful. It was like living in a dream, and we wished we could stay for longer. But it was time for us to end our 10-day-long vacation and head back to Shillong to get back to our work and weekend travel mode.